I was born in the 80s, raised in the 90s, and I graduated in the early 2000s. Those were some fun years. We didn't have these cell phones that we were connected to, and the ones that we did only had one game, Snake. If you know, you know. But hey, listen, I want to talk about Dr. Gabor Mate, a Canadian physician who thinks that our culture is becoming toxic. And as a therapist, I won't say that it's becoming toxic, but we're absolutely flirting with it. Let's see what we're talking about. Let's get right into it.
And it's just where our society is too. We've gone so far down this road, and it's just like, how do we? Yeah, back in the day, it's like it seemed like if you were like, maybe this is crazy, but if you were like just a small group around a campfire, you could see if somebody was hurting you. There was everything was right there. You couldn't hide anything.
Not only that, you know what you would do? You'd do ceremonies, healing rituals.
Yeah.
You would drum, you would dance, you would chant, you would shake a stick. It'd be communal.
Yeah.
A friend of mine who I quote in the book, he's a part Lakota physician and psychiatrist. His name is Louis Malmadrona. And he said in the Lakota tradition, when somebody gets sick, the community says, thank you. Your illness represents some imbalance in our community.
Wow.
You're like the canary in the mine. So your healing is our healing. So let's do this together. Now that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Both scientifically and emotionally. We don't do that. We sort of isolate the individual, and then we separate the mind from the body. So we say it's just a brain problem. No, it isn't. It's a life problem.
Yeah.
And that life is lived in an environment.
Oh, man. When you understand that so many of these things are connected. So, for example, when I first get a client, we must talk about health because that plays a role. We must talk about purpose. We must obviously talk about the situation, but it makes up this entire being rather than just attacking a problem that we may fix. But if the individual isn't healed or starts to work through themselves, they can't get to this level of peace. And, a lot of this is community based. I'm still discussing from an individual perspective, but I do understand in healing the importance of community.
In a multi-generational family, in a certain culture. Let's look at the whole thing. That's all.
Do you think we can start to head more in that direction, or how do you think this changes? Because we are pretty far down the well here.
I think
because sometimes you even said roar. Like sometimes
I think the way you change it is through your own family traditions. We went camping this past weekend for spring break, or the way that we did camping, we went out to a high spot in terms of, but we took an RV and we stayed on the campgrounds, but we took an Uber to the city to do certain things. But when we were at the campgrounds, we're lighting fire, we're doing s'mores, we're playing old family tradition games. We're dancing, we're enjoying we didn't have these cell phones. Our television didn't work in the RV, so we didn't really watch it. So it made you connect at a different level that for that time you're there. I don't know about my wife, but I would just go through just moments, like take snapshots in my brain, just like, experience gratitude because this moment is the most important moments of all moments. They're out there dancing, just having a good time and, doing all those things that we tend to forget because of our fast paced life.
I feel like our whole planet just wants to fucking roar. It's like, I feel like everybody just wants to go in the yard and just scream at the sky. It's like, I don't know. It feels like there's just something trapped in us that is.
Our spirit is meant to be free. Intentionally, well, I think intuitively we know that the way that we currently live, it is in a sense meaningless. And what I mean by that is go to work, we get paid. You got some people who are making, millions. You got some people who are poor, and ultimately we all experience the same problems on different levels of scales, or different levels. So it may seem easier with a little bit of money, but then another person may seem it's easier without all the stress that comes from managing, your money, your big career, whatever the case may be. So I think we're all experiencing the same thing at different levels, and we there's something about this reality that does not make sense. I think we find a way for us to go through it, obviously, but there's been times where I caught myself just looking in the mirror and I'm like, what are you? It's like, what is this? And maybe that's a weird moment, but let me know in the comments if you had those type of experiences, just snapped out. And it's like, man, I enjoy my children, I enjoy work, whatever the case may be, but just something about this experience doesn't feel like it's the complete truth.
Oh yeah, and it's had some cultural expression as well. What was that movie where somebody yells, I'm fed up and I can't take it anymore," and he starts yelling,
Falling Down, Michael Douglas?
Is that it was? I don't know which movie it was, but it was somebody just starts yelling, "I'm fed up and I can't take it anymore," and everybody starts yelling, "I'm fed up, I can't take it anymore." I think there's a deep sense of frustration in this culture. And
I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to be able to take this anymore.
Yeah, it's Network.
Network.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a great movie. If you've never seen it, it's a great movie.
I'm mad as hell. No, that was decades ago. I think the level of frustration in our society has increased.
Mm-hmm.
Why are people frustrated? Because their needs aren't being met.
Yeah.
And that scream, look, I travel all over the world. I just came back from a 3-week, 6-country tour of Europe.
Wow.
I talked to 12,000 people. That sense of frustration, that sense of longing that we talked about, it's so universal these days.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it? Because that's what it feels like. This, or other people feeling this? That's what I wonder a lot. Or other people feeling this same way?
Well, some people are not, because they escape, and this society is absolutely built.
I think escaping is complete dependency on yourself. It's not just all this certain amount of money that's necessary. But there are certain levels to it, and they keep you going through this cycle so that our mind, we can't settle down and start to, for lack of better words, start to vibrate at a certain frequency where we start to understand how to get ourselves out of this experience in terms of getting to that point of purpose, freedom, independence.
Brilliant at creating escapes through mass media, mass sports, consumption, and so on. But I'll say something here, and this is particularly true of comedians. I have found some people are just born more sensitive.
That's a great point too, and I have to take that into account. We all do.
And more sensitive means, sensitive is from the Latin word sensere, to feel. But some people are genetically born more sensitive. They feel more. That means when things go wrong, they feel it more than the others. So the same thing can happen externally to two different people, but if one of them is more sensitive, they're going to feel it all the more. So it's especially this highly sensitive people who are feeling that scream that you talk about.
Yeah, that's a great point. That that's what it's just like. I just feel like we've just gone so far off the path of.
But if I can say something, your sense that we've gone off the path, what in you knows that?
In just the last 7 days, 8,368 men have clicked the link on one of our ads that you've probably seen on the internet.
Like, what part of me you mean?
What in you, who in you knows that we've gone off the path? It's the part that hasn't gone off the path. It's the part that actually sees. So that, I don't want to create too much doom and gloom here.
No.
There is this self here. There's this trueness here that's never been damaged, never been destroyed. There's nobody's damaged goods that way.
It knows.
It's always in here. It's a question of, can we connect with it?
Right. And how do we get back to connecting with that sort of thing? Because our society, our culture is not going to do it for us. It doesn't feel like. We might have to start with it as individuals. Does that make sense?
We do begin as individuals, but you've probably realized, just for example, in your AA group, there's a community there.
Right.
Who are have a lot of shared experiences and who are very vulnerably open in sharing their experiences. And that's a
Community
source
is
of
huge.
support. When you share about yourself, that's a source of support to others. When they share about themselves, that's support for you. So that ultimately, no, we don't have to do it by ourselves. It begins as an individual process, but pretty soon you find that we're not alone.
Yeah. Do you think we can get out of this toxic culture, Gabor? Do you feel like there's a way out of where we are? Or do you feel like that humanity is just...
I believe in human beings.
That's a great statement. I do too.
I believe that there's an essential goodness there, a desire to connect, a desire to belong, a desire to celebrate life. I think we're endowed with those capacities. And as difficult as things may look, and especially these days with this terrible wars going on and the suffering that we've talked about, I still believe that there's so many examples. Everywhere I go, I meet such good people. People are trying to make a difference. People are trying to do their little bit or their big bit to reduce the suffering in the world, to speak the truth, to offer some love, compassion to the world.
That's why it feels so good when you do good by a person, or you take care of some person, you do it out of the kindness of your heart without the idea of how cool am I, or the ego. It does something to you. It absolutely does something to you when you see that person that you've helped also start to reach, not about just helping them, but you've helped them to a point where they've taken that information or your presence and being able to amplify and improve their life. That is an extremely great experience that holds a lot of value, and I think that goes into this becoming our true self, is that we do have a desire to connect, to help one another, to see ourselves in other people. And essentially all of these factions, whether it's religious, it's political, it's race, it's sex, whatever it is, it honestly keeps us separate from those experiences, because true indeed, although we have differences, we all have similarities.
I really do believe in humans. No, we have the potential to be monsters. We have the potential to be angels. But that good side never totally disappears. Some people, it's covered over so much that they might never get in touch with it. Most people, I think, are quite capable of getting there once they decide that they want to.
Yes, decide that they want to.
What scares me, I think, is that in order to be a human being, we have to have the present moment, right? We have to be able to still have like the ability to reflect and recognize and think. And our society or our culture has created a lot where we're so many distractions, so that if we never even take the time, if we can be distracted enough from being able to really think or feel really, probably starting with feeling, then we'll be trapped forever in a way.
Well,
does that make sense at all?
It's interesting how you say all these really insightful things, then you keep asking me if it makes sense or not.
That's
apologize.
Right. Because a true self knows. He knows. Again, perception is reality. So your truth is your truth. It doesn't make it the truth. It's your truth. So for him to have those insights, that's what his soul probably needs, etc.
I can't think and talk sometimes at the same time. I can't feel and speak at the same. It's just
no. But I'm just telling you that. I'm not criticizing. I'm not. I'm just noticing something.
Yeah. Okay. I don't feel like you are. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah. So here's the thing: we're born as feeling creatures.
Right.
We feel before we think.
Yes.
The feeling apparatus is present in us before we're even born. The thinking apparatus doesn't start developing till much later on.
That's true.
So that if there's a scaffolding of healthy feelings, then our thinking will be aligned with reality. But it's
Why
the
it's so
feelings that
important to
we're feelings.
start that early foundation
We're
with
feeling
love,
creatures before we're thinking creatures.
Got it.
So
balance,
what you said makes absolute sense even from the evolutionary and physiological point of view. Like animals feel.
I think we're overly making people too emotional, and we use words such as toxic masculinity or it's just at some point we have to understand that we need balance between these things, the feminine energy and the masculine energy. It serves a purpose at all times. All of them do. It's not, if a man is all masculine, but then he's not in tap with his emotions. So ultimately, his lack ability to properly feel or avoids feeling. And we all are feeling creatures. We're feeling beings. We experience a wave of emotions. We need to learn to balance them. That person tends to not support another person's feelings or things of that nature, where they can be, it's just straight hardness all day, pause. But the reality of it is that when we talk about we are the emotion brings certain things. When we go through all of these waves of emotion and you know you know validating the sadness and all of that, what we're doing is actually reinforcing those things. When it's all right to experience those emotions, but we want to get back to a healthier emotion as the primary emotion, so that we can bring those realities and we can heal ourselves properly.
Feel, but they don't necessarily think. In fact, they don't think. But
Some of them don't.
But without thinking, without feeling, they wouldn't survive.
Right.
And we think we can get by our own thinking.
Mm-hmm.
We got it back.
Let me know what you guys thinking. I thought that was really important. I do believe that our society is becoming, I don't want to say toxic, but we're getting to this place that we're losing sight of what really matters. Tons of distractions and things of that nature, all of the labels, all of the factions, etc. But let me know what you think in the comment section. Once again, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not yet subscribed. Put your thoughts in the comment section and let me know what you think. And as always,
it get hot in the summer, yeah.